Thank you so much for joining us on the 31st edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Kichesippi.
And I'm Andrew Miller.
And of course, we're the podcast that talks about the people, places, and events and music that make this city the incredible city it is. And what a weekend we have ahead of us. It is the number one festival weekend of the year. So before we talk to Mr. Paul Meek from Kichesippi Beer, why don't we check this out?
We're born up in the air. If you don't know where we're going, how can you take us there? Who can tell us what is real? No. And biding our time like
All right, so the band you just heard there was Mehdi Cayenne Club. I think they are from just over the border in Gatineau, but they will be playing the Ottawa Blues Fest. So that song was called The Boat, and you'll be able to also see them August 9th at the Black Sheep, as well as August 30th at Raw Sugar, so make sure you check them out. So, it's quite the honor to be here at 866 Campbell Avenue at the Kichesippi Brewery. There's so much action going on in the brewery today.
It's packed in there, for sure.
It's packed. It's a lot of changes going, a lot of expansion going right now. So,
Something's going on.
Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thank you very much for having me.
I know you're busy with interviews. You're doing Apartment 613 next week.
It's always time.
Chat. I love it. That's what makes you guys so great.
Always time to sit down and have a pint. Eh?
Exactly.
This new IPA is delicious, by the way.
Thank you. Blue Check Throwback. This is nice stuff, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't mind it at all.
Again, this is Liquid Lunch Out Loud, Ottawa.
So, Paul, just in case people don't know more about you, you have a very interesting past of how you came to Ottawa and now how you're kind of forging your way throughout Ottawa so much. So, where did you start out? Born, raised, and how did you get to make Ottawa the home you love now?
Born in Kingston, Jamaica. That's one of my always big party jokes that nobody will ever guess exactly where I was born. Born in Kingston, Jamaica, moved to Puerto Rico, and then grew up in Pickering, Ajax area, just east of Toronto, till I was done high school. Decided I wanted to get out of Toronto and went out east. The Meat Clan, had a lot of roots in Cape Breton, so I wanted to get out to Nova Scotia and sort of learn more about the family. Out there, I met what was soon to be my wife, Kelly. We moved back to Toronto, sort of pursue the big city and do the big corporate life.
And what were you doing? What were you doing for work?
Kelly was corporate and special events with one of the big banks, and I was a financial advisor with another big bank. So Kelly was with Scotiabank, and I was with Canada Trust.
You know that?
Yep. So I was doing some different, mutual funds and RSPs and stocks, and just getting into the lending stuff. And then Kelly was doing all of the large corporate and public events. So when Scotiabank had a big president or even a country head that would come in, they would have to set up a special meeting and things like that in terms of having the bank representing in terms of whatever business dealings they had in those countries. Wow. So that was all their stuff. And then Alexander was born in 2000 and decided, you know what, big life, big city, big smoke was not what we were looking for anymore. Mm-hmm. Mom's from Queo, Quebec. Dad's from Cornwall. They met in the Glebe in the 60s. And we decided, you know what, going to Ottawa with a city that we liked the size of and liked, the feel a bit better was a good move for us. And so we moved here winter 2002.
That's great. How do you feel Ottawa's been transforming since you've been here? I mean, we've been talking about that a lot. It's been growing up a lot. And
I think it has grown up a lot. I think it was funny, like 10, 11 years ago, the thing that we really enjoyed when we first got here was the embracing the outdoors. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Ottawa's like, hey, it's 2 feet of snow. Let's go outside and do something. Where in Toronto it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah, call the army.
Call the army, exactly. Mel Lastman. So that's something we really enjoyed and sort of found very passionate when we first got here. What I found has changed in the last 10, 11 years is, years ago it would be, where are you from? I'm from Ottawa. What's it like there? It sort of had this boring, stodgy kind of town. And I find that that's totally changed in the last 7, 8 years.
Absolutely.
Where there's definitely a civic pride, and people are getting out and doing more and engaging in the community and finding these little nooks and crannies and these cool little things that are going on. So I find there's definitely much more of a self-pride of how cool it is to live in this town.
And you're definitely a company that makes it a lot cooler.
Well, it's for us, like, to be a part of Ottawa is the ultimate compliment. It's what we would like to do. Like our goal, if we can never measure this goal, is someday somebody comes to town and says, you know what, I'm going to go to the Parliament buildings, I'm going to go to the canal, I'm going to have a Kichesippi beer, because that's what you do when you're in Ottawa.
Exactly.
And if we can accomplish that, then we've done our job. And obviously, those are the sort of, obviously the canal and the Parliament buildings are the two obvious ones, but really going out and exploring this city is what we'd love to see people do when they come to visit us and invest their tourism dollars in our city.
Oh, for sure. And I know a lot of tourists do that. I used to work at a bar close by the airport, and you'll have so many visitors, and they say, we want to try a local beer. And unfortunately, the restaurants that I worked at, they never had local beers. It was more, Canadian and Coors Light, and so Canadian had to be the local beer that, they probably tried elsewhere.
But that's what's good is the consumers are talking with their dollars.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what, I want to go to a place and enjoy. It's that when in Rome, right?
Yeah,
so when in Ottawa, you want to enjoy the things that are unique to Ottawa.
And you just recently, when we lost the unfortunate bet with the Pittsburgh Penguins,
yes,
Kichesippi was the beer that Jim Watson had to give to the U.S. ambassador.
Exactly.
Hopefully he had it before that. Hopefully he had it before that, though.
Well, the mayor's been a great supporter. Whether it's been an anniversary party or any sort of function we've had, he's always come out and been a really good supporter of ours. And definitely, it was a really nice compliment for the mayor to sort of look at Kichesippi as a little small part of Ottawa that would be a good representation of Ottawa to have handed off to the ambassador as a wager.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the name Kichesippi. Speaking of history of Ottawa, I don't think a lot of people know where it comes from.
Well, it's funny because when we started 3 years ago, the comments we got was, "What does it mean?"
Yeah.
Or "I think you spelled it wrong." Those were the two comments we got because Kichesippi is an Algonquin word. Kichesippi means the Great River. Kitche is great, Sippi is river, and in Ottawa, there's the Kichesippi Lookout, which is the Westboro Beach, as well as the Kichesippi Ward, in terms of the municipal ward, mostly encompassing Westboro.
Yeah.
And they spell it differently than we do, as well as the Kichesippi newspaper,
The Times.
The Times also spells it differently than we do. And what we've learned is that it's an Algonquin word, and the Algonquins didn't use English. It's phonetical. Mm-hmm. So it was the history books wrote it down in exactly how they thought it
However it sounded, yeah.
Exactly. So whether you spell it, our way, which is a 10-letter word, or the way that the others spell it, which is a 12-letter word, it does the same thing, which is honoring the history of the Ottawa area.
What brought you? I know I wanted to.
Excuse me.
I wanted to stray away because you do so many interviews. But what made you leave the financial world, the mortgage world, towards starting your own brewery? Were you a home brewer as well?
For me, never. This is one of the many myths that we have. I have never brewed a batch of beer in my life.
Ah,
yeah.
That makes two of us, Paul.
That makes two of us. So I'm not a home brewer, never was a home brewer. The way I always describe my history in getting into the beer world is in the sales world. I've worked for Labatt, I've worked for Sleeman, I've worked for Pepsi, I've worked for Schmaloff, Bailey's, Johnny Walker, Erdinger out of Germany, some Belgian beers. So my experience was importing, sales, logistics. So the way I always describe it is I know how I want beer to taste. I know what ingredients have to go into that beer. Mm-hmm. I can't take it from the beginning to the end. It's like I said, I know I always refer to it as soup. I don't know how I want this soup to taste, and I know how I would love it into it, but I don't know how long to boil it for. Mm-hmm. I don't know the temperature to boil it at. I don't know when to put it in, when to take it out. Should it be a dry ingredient? Should it be a wet ingredient? That's my limitation. So our brewmaster, Don Harms, who's been doing this for 25 years, that's where he comes in and says, I'll take Paul's ideas and what we've sat down with and talking to Kelly and Alexander, what they're looking for, and bring it to the glass.
So you basically knew what you're going to go and knew how to hire the right people, which is one of the best ways to go about it.
Well, it's interesting in that, so the history with Kichesippi, so Kichesippi as a company is 3 years old. The way we got started was that Heritage Brewing had existed prior to us. Heritage Brewing was in this building. And we couldn't afford to start our own brewery at the time, so we went to them and said, hey, we've got an idea, we've got a concept, we have a loose recipe. Can we pay you to brew our beer? And they were happy to oblige because they were not running at 100% capacity. They had extra tanks that were not being used 24 hours a day. So that it started that April 30th or April 29th, 2010. And then 7 months later, the owners of Heritage had a grandchild. Saw which way it was going and said, you know what, I think we'd like to be done. And we were looking to say, we wanted to own our own brewery at that point. So it was option A, buy out Heritage, or option B, start our own brewery. And we had a very amicable agreement in terms of buying out Heritage. So we actually bought out the existing brewing team. But then Don Harms, our current brewmaster, heard that we had bought. He was living in Halifax. Wife's from Ottawa. Always was trying to get back to Ottawa someday, and called us up and said,
"How did you hear about it?"
Oh,
just on internet, the Canadian Beer News or whatever, different broadcasts.
Oh, cool.
Had mentioned that this purchase had happened. He had emailed me just before Christmas and said, heard about the place, trying to get back to Ottawa, love to relocate. So we met between Christmas and New Year's and signed a deal on New Year's Day. We met down on Johnny Freen and Elgin, signed a deal on January 1st.
With Dino there?
Dino was there that day. Dino's always there. That man works too hard.
Yeah.
And Don just said, look, I need to obviously give my employer enough notice. I need to give them 3 months notice. They're pregnant. They were due end of April. And came up sort of mid-March, and off we went. So the really great thing is, the team that was brewing here sort of learned to brew through experience, but had never been formally trained. So having Don come in and be able to sort of say, okay, well, I know you're doing this, but do you know why you're doing this? And it's like, no, I'm doing this because I did it last week. Well, here's why that's affecting the brewing process, or how it affects the brewing process. So having these kids learn from Don, who's had this experience in terms of they were doing it out of habit and not out of knowledge, was a really great step in the right direction for us.
Great coach.
It was the perfect coach. 25 years and experience. Trained in Germany.
It's good that he didn't lose the passion after 25 years to share
the
it with other people. That's the best.
Well, I don't know. I can't see too many brewmasters wanting to retire ever. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
The last thing you have to worry about with our brewmaster is passion. That guy is the most interesting guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
I've known him for just over 2 years. I've seen him wear a pair of pants once. He wears shorts every day of the year. He always has something Minnesota Vikings on him.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Oh, no.
Poor guy.
That's not
He
good.
eats a bag of carrots every Monday. Will not eat a banana past 10 a.m. Doesn't like the texture after 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's just tip of the iceberg. Dawn is anything but boring. And that's what makes it fun around here is we've got a great team and great personalities that all have the common goal of putting out a good product.
Where does he see Kichesippi going? I know you get that question a lot. Does he want to expand past ultimately past this building? What's his reason d'etre? Where is he?
His focus is always on the commitment I made to him and what he is happy with is we don't want him to rush a beer. If a beer's going to take 16 days and we're going to be out of stock for 2 or 3 days, we're out of stock for 2 or 3 days.
Fair enough. That's great.
And he's happy that he doesn't have that pressure coming down from ownership that's saying, look, we'd rather give you a product 2 or 3 days late, but fresh and perfect, than 3 or 4 days early and not the way we'd be happy with it. And he's happy that he doesn't have that pressure.
That's amazing pressure. You see that in the music industry way too much.
Yeah, trying to push it out.
Yeah. Come on, let's just get an album out, and then you have to scale back 5 really good songs.
Exactly.
That's
so his vision, we are very, very draft and restaurant heavy, and we know that doing more packaged product with the LCBO and the beer store is the direction that basically the customers are asking for us.
Yeah.
We only have Natural Blonde in bottles right now. We've actually had some LCBO stores calling up, asking for 1855 six-packs to be delivered to their store, and they don't even exist yet.
So right now you only have the one SKU at the
That's
LCBO.
right.
Now, is there a certain amount, though? I know this because I was actually at the liquor store yesterday looking for another beer.
Of course you were.
And they said that you have to have a certain amount of product that you'll push through restaurants first before you'll end up bottling things. Is this something that...
Yes and no, but when you go to the LCBO, you have to give them a reason to bring in your product.
Yeah, obviously you don't want to bottle thousands of beers and then not be able to sell them, right?
Exactly. So. You have to show them the demand for the product. So if you're a large macro brewery, you can create that demand through commercials and advertising, radio and promotions and giveaways. Through us, we create demand through trial. You go to a restaurant X, have a pint, hey, this is pretty good. You look it up and go buy a 6-pack and take it home. That's the way that we do business.
Which probably works better. I mean, then people actually want the beer as opposed to being told they want the beer.
For sure. It's not so much of a, you don't peak, it's sort of a nice gradual process. It's more that guerrilla marketing style where you're not coming out and all of a sudden selling, this week you sold nothing and week 2 you sold 1 million 6-packs because you had a commercial or a billboard, right? So that's not the style that we do, but it's very much more organic, slower, steadier pace in terms of growth.
So do you know how long until you might be able to get that second product out? Because you have the new bottler now.
The new bottler is up and running.
We're just 6 times what you were doing per day?
Yeah, so the old bottler that we had was doing 1,500 bottles in 6 hours.
That's right.
The current one does 1,500 bottles in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So we're running at about 75% efficiency, so we're doing it around 1,200, 1,100 bottles an hour. So we're just getting those pressures and valves all in place because we got water pressure, CO2 pressure, and beer pressure all going in to the same thing. And it's a unique kind of bottler where it's not a rinse it and then hop back on the line, on the train track, and then bottle it and hop back on the line. This is it's almost like a clock where it has to be perfectly lined up. There's no downtime between rinsing, filling, and capping. It's a one flow machine, so it has to be perfectly in unison.
Why did you choose to do it that way?
It was something we really liked. The 6 capper at the end. Often we see right now we've got a 16 head filler, so it's just a big rotary filler and then a rotary rinser. We liked a lot the 6 head capper, so it caps the beer a lot quicker, so you're not getting any release of air. So it really caps the beer, make sure all the CO2 and the beer is held in place. And Don had gone over to Germany in the fall of 2012 and had a really good experience. There's a humongous brewing machinery equipment conference in Nuremberg.
Okay, cool.
So he had gone over there and met with them. Was very happy with what he had seen. So a good experience and a good trial with the machine over in Germany. So we went with this machine. So it was, again, trying to ship a machine from over in Asia to over here, and
I heard,
being set up with
a bit of a headache, eh?
Oh yeah. It was great. There's just one of those, there just wasn't a lot of learning.
Yeah.
Would you have airshipped it if you could have done it over again?
Too expensive. It was 9,000 pounds.
9,000 pounds.
9,000 pounds.
I don't even know how much that costs. How many bags is that?
Too much. It was too much. But I'll say
That's way too
that was
much.
the crazy thing is what really held us up on the bottling line is that there's so much fraud happening between North America and China that it took us 28 days for the money to be released on their end. We had sent it on March 26th. They did not get access to it until April 24th.
Wow.
But once the money was released, it only took 17 days for the bottler to get here. So 17 days from Asia to Montreal port.
Well, it was probably just waiting there to be shipped right away.
And I think the key was waiting there and not stopping at 3 or 4 ports along the way really helped speed up the transition.
Gotcha.
All right, so that's excellent
break time?
stuff. Yeah, it's break time. We're going to listen to another song from Mehdi Cayenne Club.
All right.
Once again, catch them at the Blues Fest. This song is called More Fay, so we'll be right back with Paul Meek from Kichesippi Beers.
C'est pas grave, fuck l'école. Bling bling, goddamn, bigoted, bang bang. Contre les corps, coupe les coins. Arrête ton char, ramène ta gang.
Alright, so we're back with Paul Meek from Kichesippi Beer. That song was Morphe from Mehdi Cayenne Club, so hope you enjoyed. So, yeah, there will be the second beer coming to the LCBOs in August, right?
We're shooting for August to have the next 6-pack.
Can't wait. Can't
Sweet.
wait. That's going to be good. So I think in the second half of our program today, we're going to concentrate on pretty much one of your biggest core competencies, and that's being involved with the community, which is absolutely incredible because you know how much I see you at so many events in the community. I love being part of this community. We should trying to stick to more biking now, which kind of brings us to some of the
segue.
some of the events that you've held here, including the Velevogue fashion show a couple of weeks ago. That was just phenomenal.
I saw that bike on Sunday, actually.
Yeah.
I went over to
the keg bike.
The keg bike. I was at Pub Italia and I was grabbing some different glassware for my father, who's an avid beer drinker. And right as soon as we walk in, the big Kichesippi bikes parked right there.
Yeah, so that.
Well, engaging, we really, going back to what we talked about earlier in that active community, we really wanted to engage that active lifestyle community. And we thought we'd start with the cycling team, cycling group. And we started with this concept of having a beer delivery bike, a keg delivery bike. And then we realized we could probably only hold 1-2 kegs top. And this probably would not be the best idea. So Tall Tree Cycles had said to us, what about doing like a beer draft bike, almost like Dickie D style? Yeah. And we said, let's run with it. That sounds like a blast.
That'd be fun.
And
for sure.
It's amazing how many people love that bike. We get a lot of comments, can I sit on it? Can I take my picture? Right. The biggest comment we get is, can you drive down my street and I'll run out with a $5 bill and buy a pint?
Like every Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Eh? It's the old. You remember when you were a kid and the Dickie D would go by and you get an ice cream, and now it's the beer guy's here, and just run down the street.
That'd make a really good commercial. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Having the fathers all run out of the house.
Yeah. They throw the kid against the wall. Yeah. No, it's not for you, son.
Yeah, exactly.
But even though I know some guys that go for that. Anyway, so Velevogue Fashion Show is a beer or a biking. Fashion show, so that was the first I've ever seen, and just what a great event. The tremendous sold out, people being turned away at the door, but everybody having a great time. That was so much fun.
Zara and her crew were amazing. That was easily the coolest event we've ever done in terms of just having that ultimate contrast of this industrial setting and the high fashion and the cycling. It was a blast, and it amazed me how many people will come out to an industrial park on a Saturday night, pouring rain, for a cool event. The place was absolutely packed. China Doll was awesome. Zara and her crew were awesome. We had a blast. It was so cool.
So much fun. And so we'll just go over some more events that you've had. Your 3-year anniversary was a couple months ago in April.
Yep, April 29th.
That was another great event there, too.
Yeah, and then what we did there, we decided to do something new, which was we always, in years past, we'd had restaurants come into the building, and this year we decided to engage the food truck. So Ben Baird and his team at Street Gourmet came out and parked at the back door, and it was an absolute blast. Yeah. It saved us space at the brewery so people can have more space getting around, and it would just give us some nice mobile food, and that really has engaged us with the rest of the food truck community in terms of what we've learned from them is they want to do as much local as possible, whether it's beer or soda or food or whatever it may be. So
and you're all for that.
I think it's great. It's exactly, there's so many synergies here with, again, what Nick and Andrew are doing and what we're trying to do in terms of having those partnerships and those collaborations and doing some stuff together and creating those cool experiences in the city.
Speaking of which, I should have mentioned at the beginning, it was Ontario Craft Beer Week. That's one of the reasons we had you on.
Yeah.
And you just did a collaboration at, where was it again?
We did a nice beer dinner at Corner Bar Grill in Westboro. Right. So we had held one of our seasonal beers back. So there was 5 beers, 5 courses. Meg Brennan, our downtown licensee rep, took care of that. And again, Corner Bar is one of those places that is really engaged, doing some local craft beers, local food, doing some, some great local foods from guys with seed to sausages, stuff like that. Yeah. Really, really good to see this nice little neighborhood pub style concept.
It's changed a lot since it's been puzzles.
Absolutely. Very, very different.
Yeah.
Other events you've done, Slash grand opening. You were there with the Harvey and Vern. Sorry, we haven't mentioned the soda, the Harvey and Vern soda. That
your soda was fantastic. That we got to try. What episode was that? I don't remember what episode it was.
Creative
Mornings and Matt Carmichael.
Yeah.
Delicious stuff.
Yeah, so Sheena Sherwood, our office manager, set that up. She's got a really great relationship with the crew.
I've gotten to know her very well now.
Yeah, Sheena's awesome. She really keeps everything intact in the brewery for sure. And that was one of those things where it's, again, Slash is one of those companies that makes a lot of sense for us in terms of the similar demographic that we're both want to attract.
Yep.
So it was a great little simple event to bring some attention to a new local business.
Another event that you helped us with was the Blue Jays season opener. That's where I learned about Sambat. I didn't even know up until then. And that's crazy for me.
Oh, really?
It's crazy for me.
Because I wasn't a baseball fan, and when you're like, we're going to interview the Sambat company, I didn't have a clue, but...
And I
thought you knew
that event was incredible, and you're giving away free beers there, which was always an incredible time. But that was absolutely packed there that night.
That was the sort of... That encompasses everything about what we're talking about, right? You got the Berryman Pub, locally owned, locally run, great, fantastic spot. You got the mayor out. You got David Gorley and his group from Champs Ottawa.
That's right.
That is, he has no vested interest in the situation, but wants desperately, as a passionate baseball guy, to be there. And
he wants to see that community around for the baseball.
And then Lee was there from Sambat, and it was the funniest thing because I don't know if you recall, but the start of the Jays game, I forget who was at bat. But the guy who was at bat had his one and only Sambat. He had been given by Sambat and swung and missed on a pitch, and the bat went flying into the over the first base dugout. And all you see is the Sambat logo on the bat. And I know Lee had a lot of fun with that.
That's
night.
Great.
But to think of this, this company is dealing with multimillionaire, high performance athletes that's based in Carleton Place.
I know.
It's crazy stuff.
It was quite a factory. We were there a couple of weeks ago with them on the show.
It's amazing.
I was quite impressed.
You do Kichesippi night at the Standard, $15 for a pizza and pint.
We're doing some great promotions at the Standard. We're doing some great stuff at Mugshots. They're really.
What night of the week is it at Standards?
Standard is Wednesdays. And then Mugshot, we do some stuff with their Tequila Tuesdays or Taco Tuesdays. So when you're looking at shot, a beer, and tacos. So Tuesday night Mugshots, some great stuff like that.
I like that you joined up with the Canadian Dad blog for a adventure of cheese and beer pairing.
Yeah, that was a blast. That was, again, one of those, we had met them through our soda.
Good guys.
They're great guys, so we met them through the soda, and they ran with it. They said, look, we want to do some stuff with the sodas and the beer and do some pairing, and it's a perfect Father's Day opportunity, right? You're talking cheese, beer, soda, and food, and a little bit of barbecue. It was
absolutely
ideal.
You know what's hilarious is that's exactly what my father asked for.
Yeah,
Father's Day. And his birthday, which was a month ago too. All I need is cheese and beer. Cheese and beer. That's all he needs.
You should
keep it simple.
I know, that's great.
You do great work with JDRF and
JDRF is the most important thing that we do. As some people know, Alexander, our son, who's 13, has been diabetic for 7 years now. So every time we sell a growler, we donate 50 cents to juvenile diabetes. And our commitment to that is that we'll keep making that donation until there's a cure. So it's the biggest thing that we do, and it's the most important thing that we do. And that's something that we're very proud of.
Where's the easiest way for people to grab the growlers? Come right here.
Unfortunately, the easiest and the only is a brewery.
Okay.
Is the brewery. So we only sell the growler at the place of manufacture.
Gotcha.
We could bottle the growlers up and stick in the LCBO, but the deposit makes the shelf price look a little wonky.
Yeah.
So
$5 deposit.
$5 deposit.
So $10 is it?
I think it's 10 something for the $5 deposit. So basically,
perfect.
It's one of those.
What a great price!
It's like going to the bakery. You go to the bakery and get fresh bread. Come to the brewery and get fresh beer.
Yeah,
you're not wasting. There's no packaging waste.
$2.50 a pint.
Exactly.
It's a
sweet deal.
Can't beat it.
You have the special festival beer coming up for the Arboretum Fest in August. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Arboretum Fest, so August 17th weekend.
Yeah. Before that, in June, you got. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
It's okay.
Oyster Fest.
Oyster Fest June 30th.
Whalesbone.
So Whalesbone's been nice enough to have us. This will be our 4th year at Whalesbone Oyster Fest. So we're going to be pouring 2 Kichesippi beers, as well as the Harvey and Burns ginger beer.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing pitchers of Dark and Stormies.
Oh, wow.
So we're using Sailor Jerry's rum with pitchers of Harvey and Burns Dark and Stormy.
That sounds like
now I know why Sharif is going so bad.
Yeah. Also that weekend, you got the Calabogie Country Fest.
Calabogie, yeah, so it's the guys that run the Calabogie Blues. They invited us out to pour some beer at Calabogie Country Music Festival. So it's June 28th to 30th, right at the base of the ski hill in Calabogie.
That's going to be amazing. That's the first edition of that, correct?
It's the inaugural Calabogie Country Music Festival.
Right,
it's a mouthful.
That's going to be good. Good start with a good pairing between you both.
It's a nice way for us to get into the valley a bit more.
Yeah.
Where I think we do a good job downtown. So introduce our beer more into the valley. This will be a nice vehicle for that.
Another event, you sponsor Startup Weekends, so that's hitting the startup group, which I love going to all those events.
Startup Weekend was a blast. I just spoke at Startup Grind.
That's right.
Last week, and it's such a nice positive vibe in the room of there's such creativity and young energy.
I love doing it.
It's a great thing to be around.
Yeah, even though I'm a mortgage broker, that's my
for sure.
passion.
Keeping the creativity going.
Exactly right. You have Barley's Angels meeting here next week. That'll be a lot of fun too.
They had their first meeting here. Katie Watts and the group have been very great.
Does she like beer?
Katie, I tell you, I don't think there's a girl in town that knows more about beer, loves beer better than Katie Watts.
Girl or guy.
But to see that passion about that is awesome.
Love it. I love following her and seeing
what's Barley's Angels for those that have never heard of it?
Barley's Angels is basically obviously a play on words with the Charlie's Angels.
Yep.
So it's basically a women's only group to know beer, get to like beer. Sometimes beer can be a little male specific.
Yeah.
So to have a very comfortable setting where women can go and maybe you don't know about beer but you want to know about it and hang out with women and learn about stuff. That's what it's all about. So it's women, having a nice comfortable setting without some guy going
Yeah, what do you know about beer?
Exactly. So they're just getting around that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And just one last thing, you're part of the Chinatown Remix Festival that was a couple weekends ago as well. So
absolutely,
great times there.
We work with Mekong, Zen Kitchen, Shanghai, Raw Sugar. So the guys at Shanghai really pushed that whole thing. And it was a big thing for us to work with that. Chris Shepard was a big drive behind that in terms of making sure that was a big success. And Chinatown was a big deal for us this year.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, I mean, you're, clearly you got a lot going on. Where can people find some of your beers? I know you got a lot of it on tap in a lot of different restaurants. You want to rhyme off a couple of places where people can hit up in Ottawa to taste it out?
Hooch is brand new for us.
Yep.
The best thing for us, I would suggest, I'll give you a little teaser on this. We've got 170 restaurants we deal with. We have 35 LCBOs. Later this week, we'll be launching our Kichesippi app. So go into the App Store, just type in Kichesippi, and you're just going to go on your app, and it'll tell you the closest place to get a pint of Kichesippi.
Perfect. Otherwise, your website, I guess, your website's a good place.
Website's just being redone. Our friends at Oak Computing are redoing the website.
Which is www.
kbeer.ca.
kbeer.ca. You can't mess that one up.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much for having us here. It goes so quickly. I hope this was a different interview for you.
This was a blast.
Good stuff.
I love it. Do you want to stick around and talk about events this weekend?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Festival weekend. So,
what do we got, Nick? Rhyme them off.
I'll rhyme them off. Okay, Ribfest starts today. It started it started yesterday on Wednesday. So that's going to be there till Sunday. More vendors than ever. It's the second biggest in the country. By next year,
perfect.
Les and Spark Street is going to have it.
So we're second to who? Burlington, I'm thinking, is the biggest. I've been there before, and that was ridiculous.
That's right. So we're going to... and they're at 18 or 17 vendors, and we're at 17 this year. So we're going to beat them next year. Nice. So Canada will have the biggest one there. Canada now has the biggest Dragon Boat Festival, so that's going on this weekend. Sorry, what did I say?
Canada.
Okay. No, Ottawa does. So Ottawa now has the biggest Dragon Boat Festival. There's incredible free concerts this weekend. You got Born Ruffians for free, Sloan for free, Rain Maida for free, Sam Roberts for free. List goes, Great Lakes Swimmers, like just incredible bands for free. So you can't beat that.
Fantastic.
Oh, I forgot to say right after the Rib Festival, for all the people, there is a lot of vegetarian options this year. That's really
yeah,
cool
that's
to do
something
that.
that's
But
going to be
it's
good.
also the vegan/yoga festival at St. Paul's, 10 to 4 every single
Yes,
day.
Veg Fest.
Oh, wow.
Veg Fest and Yoga Festival. So you got that. So you got Dragon Boat. You have the Ottawa Fringe Festival starting on the 20th. So on Thursday tonight. So highlights that I want to just point out. I love Improv. I love those guys. They're doing 9 shows, 9 different themes of characters that they created in the past. So if you love improv comedy, that's going to be at Lunenburg every single day at 8 p.m. That's going to be a blast. You have Ottawa Jazz Festival starting. So you have St. Vincent and St. Byrne, or St. Vincent, David Byrne, Sunday night. Saturday you got Willie Nelson. There you go.
That's going to be a good one.
You can't beat that. Then also it's Ottawa Explosion Festival for a lot of indie bands, and that's playing in several venues across the city. So it's kind of like our North by Northeast.
Yeah.
So tons
There's
of
a lot of
things
bands.
there.
I saw, I think, Roberto Bondar that we had on the show last week, I believe. Was it last week?
They'll probably be playing.
Yeah, they're going to be playing on one of
They
their
are,
shows,
yeah.
too, I saw.
And they filmed their music video in the brewery.
That's
did
right,
they really?
did.
Oh,
They
there
did.
you go.
That's another fun fact.
Funny how it all ties in, eh? All
We
our
tie
shows here.
everything in together. Anything else you have, Miller?
No, I don't think so. I think you pretty much hit everything that we got there.
All right.
There's a lot going on. I don't know.
That's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us this week.
Yeah, and thanks for being on the show, Paul.
Thank you very much, guys.
Paul. Thank you for the beer. Next week we have Sunny Wani, resident York Street guru, that will tell us about all things. It's going to be Canada Day Festival next week.
Yeah.
Canada Day episode next week.
Yeah, so listen in, see what's going on for Canada Day.
We're going to get everything. We're going to get every hotspot. I'm going to dig deep on this one.
Yeah. We're going to have 15 minutes straight of just events.
All right, so we'll leave you with one last tune. It's going to be the Mehdi Cayenne Club's rendition of O Canada. I hope you enjoy, and have a great week. See you next week.
Later.
Canada.